Hi. So this is my second video on the subject the subject being that there's so much talk about the principal residence exemption and exemption from tax and the home equity tax. Now, people think they lump it all together. It's one thing. No, it isn't. One is already partly in place, and the other one is being studied to the tune of $500,000 at UBC. And so we got to understand there's two things involved here. And if you, like I, believe that the essence of our country, Canada, and to a lesser degree, United States, is the fact that we focus on the individual's opportunity to create a life for themselves. And now I'm a real estate guy. I bought my first house, as I said in another video. My parents couldn't believe it, the possibility of it. And the big thing was that the government, in its wisdom originally said that will not be taxed should there ever be any profit on it. Because, you've kept the house for 20 years, maybe. You paid ever-increasing insurances, ever-increasing home taxes and property taxes, and it's unbelievably expensive to just own the home, just on a municipal level. And then you have all of the other speculation tax, all of this. But one thing was for sure, that the principal residence exemption seemed to be inviolate. You think this was it? Well, I have news for you. And I don't understand why people don't complain about it, because about 2 years ago, the federal government brought in what they call a flipping tax, sort of a dastardly kind of these flippers out there. But just a minute, this is on a residential property. Yes, it's residential. If you sell it within 365 years, it's taxed. Oh, you mean to say I have to pay capital gains tax? No, no, no. It's taxed 100% like business income. And nobody's complaining. And people say, well, that is not really taking away the principal resident exemption. It isn't. It's taken it away for a year. How easy is it to add another year? Maybe in 2 years' time, we will make it now 3 years or 5 years. And all of a sudden, you got it. Like it or not. There just remains the question of, do they go retroactively to any profit I made? And they say, oh, well, they would never, ever do that. Well, in BC, the foreign buyers tax brought in years retroactively. People totally believing in Canadian laws and bylaws did that thing. Bought a house, property, and then faced with a 20% tax. So, that's one thing. That's the principal resident exemption, which already is under attack, not going to be, could be debated. No, by making it 100% taxable, 100% of it is added to your income. So if you're in a 50% tax bracket or 40% or whatever it is, half of it is gone. Well, very interesting. But what does it have to do with the home equity tax? Well, that's a totally different thing. It's a different thinking of mindset, usually originated in our universities. In this case, perhaps originated at CMHC, perhaps originated at UBC. But the fact is that in 2017, out of the blue, the federal government announced that you now had to report every sale of your private residence to the CRA. I was on the radio with Michael Campbell. I had the privilege to be with Michael Campbell's Money Talk show for 30 odd years. And we thought this is kind of crazy. And Michael thought, it looks like real estate is coming into the crosshairs of the taxation department, and they need their money. We're overspending like crazy. We're always printing and printing and printing, and then we don't have it. So where do we go? Oh, real estate. There's a lot of money sitting there. And so, but they said this has nothing to do with taxes. So we just want to know that you sold your house. Well, sure enough, 3 years later, we learned that $250,000 grant had been given to UBC. By the way, I'm getting all this information from the Toronto Star, Business in Vancouver, the Canadian Tax Federation. Look it up, Google it, it's there. So in 2020, then the UBC started this study on equity, meaning that we're looking at how would be more equitable if we took some money from the old people and give it to the young people, because they call it actually generation squeeze. Like You're 50 years old, you're squeezing the poor young people. Never mind that it took you years to buy that house, years to make the mortgage payments and the tax payments and the insurance payments and the repairs and whatnot. It doesn't matter. You are the main meanie. And because, anything that's over $1 million, that's what we're looking at. And so, well, again, we complained. We said, what are they doing? The federal government says we're not involved, we have nothing to do with it. And later on, we found out they did get involved, were involved. And 2 years later, sure enough, there was Professor Kershaw from what is called Generation Squeeze. Go to UBC or Google Generation Squeeze. Came up with this concept that any house over $1 million now in Canada should be taxed on its equity. And then it would be a scale like from 0.2% at $1 million to 1%, but it would only affect a few people. Well, this few people in Vancouver, every single house right now is worth 2.3 million. That means that at 1% taxation, that's $23,000 per year, every year. Well, let's make it only over the 1 million. So that would then be only taxed on the remaining 1.3 million or 13,000, which in 10 years would be 130,000. Or if it was from $1, it would be 260,000. And in 20 years, it would be 520,000. Now, the crazy thing, but you don't have to pay it right away. Your heirs can pay it or you can pay it down the road, but it carries interest if you don't pay it. And also, we're collecting between $5 and $6 billion, but it doesn't cost anybody really anything. It's sort of a transfer. And we old people, we're sitting at home watching TV. That's what he had the audacity to say while we're getting rich. Not you're misusing our funds, not we're borrowing and printing like the yin yang. I mean, to build a house today or a condo today costs you 30% in municipal fees and delays and unbelievable costs, first of all. Right? Then you're treated as some sort of a meanie, a speculator. And of course, the result is clear right now in Toronto and Vancouver. The investor has just quit in droves. The hell with that. I don't want to be part of it. We got flipping taxes in BC and in federally. We got the whole idea of, look, if I'd been $100,000 and I paid $200,000 today to buy $1 million condo, let's say, and I waited 5 years for that, I have the choice. I put the $200,000 in the bank at 5%. That's $10,000. In 5 years, I got $50,000. No worries. Or I make $100,000 profit. Well, the federal government takes 100% taxation. So if I'm in a 40% bracket, that's 40%. The BC government takes 20%. Oh, by the way, it's not together, it's added on. So that's plus, the 20% is plus. So now that's 60% and there's 5% GST and 2.5% property transfer tax. That's already 67.5%. And then I have to pay the realtor $20,000. And there's my profit. So what did the investors say? Bye-bye, arrivederci Roma. And today, I'm telling everybody on the radio with Michael Campbell in our podcast, which is on every Saturday at moneytalks.net, I believe, moneytalks.ca, Mike's Money Talks. I'll put it in the link down below. But the point that we're trying to make is that don't villainize the homeowner. You villainize the landlord, and they don't want to be landlords anymore. And so we have new laws on everything, and the point is we're not building anything. But the purpose of this business, of this video, it is a business, is not to confuse us or to attack the government. Look, Winston Churchill says the best government, the worst government we have is a democracy, but it's the best we have, right? So whoever gets elected, gets elected. And we live with all of them. I don't care, liberal, conservatives, we live through all the governments and all the dastardly things they do to us. But we should have our eyes wide open. And you have still a weekend now to go out and ask your representatives from each party, will you increase the time limit that you're now given the principal residence exemption already for 1 year? You have really eliminated it. If I sell it within 1 year, it's gone. Will you ever put it in at all? Or retroactively? And secondly, will you continue to study the equity tax of every property in Canada over $1 million. I just want an answer, yes or no. What's the plan? And then you vote. Don't let it sit there. And don't be surprised. I can't believe how many people don't know the difference of what we're talking about. When we're talking home equity tax, they're thinking homeowners grant. When we're talking homeowners grant, they think it's some sort of... The home equity tax is a brand new tax. It's called the generation squeeze. It's aimed at older people. Anybody that owns a house for any period of time is sort of a mean person watching TV while it's getting rich, taking it away from the young people. It's dastardly. It's an awful concept. We shouldn't tolerate it. We shouldn't talk about it. In 2022, we added another 200,000, and then Mr. Trudeau himself went last July and joined Generation Squeeze, and I could quote you, as he was quoted in the Toronto Star, as to what he liked about the idea of generational equity. So look at the facts as they're now, not of what could be. The facts are, they've studied it. The facts are they're not going to do it. But did Mr. Carney say he won't do it? That's a question. Trudeau says he won't do it. Okay, let's see it. And secondly, on the homeowner grant, if you're buying a house now or a condo and live there and sell it within 365 days, you already have eliminated the free principal resident exemption. Not going to happen. It's already there. Now you know why you have to ask some questions. Have a great day, if you can.